Before the video begins, allow me to do a friendly obligation. Nah, I'm just kidding, there's no money involved in this. This is about the content. I am proud to announce that the Rigzer brand has partnered up with the Stickers and Scuffs podcast for the 2023 racing season. Hosted by my fellow Pintys enthusiasts and buddies Cam K. Harris and Graydon Bunn in Ontario, it's a fan-led podcast covering Canadian motorsports, primarily asphalt racing. From NASCAR Pintys and APC Unite late models to Quick Whip United Superstocks and the Ontario Sportsman Series, the podcast uploads weekly episodes featuring interviews with the likes of many well-known and appreciated members of the motorsports industry across Canada, with the goal of bringing on more eyes and partners to racing. You can check out their weekly interview episodes on YouTube and Spotify, their website, and you can follow them on Twitter and Facebook. You may also find me as an occasional co-host, or maybe permanent, I don't know for sure as of recording this today, but whenever I do pop up, I hope to see you there watching the content. You can also find Cam K. Harris as the Pintys Power Hour host on GForceTV on their YouTube channel every Monday night, along with him being one of the main operators of the NASCAR Pinty Series community fan group on Facebook, which is nearing 7,000 members, so I highly encourage you to go join that group as well. Again, that's the Stickers and Scuffs podcast hosted by Cam K. and Graydon, and also the Pintys community and GForceTV as well. We're giving shoutouts everywhere. Appreciate it, fellas. Great content as per usual. For this video, thank you to Cam K and GForceTV for bringing me on to the Pintys Power Hour for this interview. So enjoy the highlights.
But I was blessed to be able to speak with a member of the Atlantic fans, and it is awesome to have a chat with him. His name's Regan McCauley out of Prince Edward Island. I had a great conversation with him talking about Atlantic Canada and how big this is for them, what they've got going out there. And I want to promote him as well, because what Rigzer's doing here is he was one of the guys that he put on some amazing videos last year for the NASCAR Pinty series. And as a fan that's been trying to promote the series for a couple of years, to have a guy like him come in and put such well put together videos, not only putting them out there, but getting the views and getting people interested. It was remarkable. I think a lot of people in NASCAR deserve to see him because some of the stuff that he does is exactly fantastic. I love seeing not just the fact that he's put this stuff together as a YouTuber, but that he's done it with the idea and the concept of growing the series, which is kind of the idea behind this as well. But again, I'm only one voice, so to have somebody else do it, it's so rewarding to see. And he got a couple thousand views on some of his race breakdowns. He's going to be hopefully working with us in the future, doing a couple more opportunities, whether a guest appearance here talking about a race. We're really excited to potentially do that. He's got a future in the racing biz for sure, and so we're very excited. We talked Regan McCauley and myself about the NASCAR Pinty series, what it's like in Atlantic Canada, how the Atlantic Canada racing scene is going, and let's hope everything works here. All right, so very exciting to finally have our first. We haven't had our first guest. We had Larry Jackson a couple weeks ago, but this is one of the things that I've been really hoping to do here on the Power Hour, which is have folks that impact our NASCAR Pinty series who are fans. And Rigzer is somebody who put out a couple videos last couple years. Actually did race reviews last year. Might be the only one that was really doing that, Rigzy. And so thank you for joining me. We're gonna chat some NASCAR Pinty series. So thank you, buddy, for joining me.
Oh yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we so first off, let's just put things a little bit in perspective. So I'm sitting here I'm Scarborough, Ontario. That's where my base is out of. Where are you based out of?
Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island.
So Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, that's first off, we're talking reach, right? We go all the way from one end of the country to the other. What's the racing scene like in Prince Edward Island, Riggsy?
Well, yeah, we only really have one local track. It's not a really big thing over here necessarily. I guess that's a way you could put it. The main racing you would get here is like horse racing and all that, around the hockey rink and all that, the main one, big one that we have in the city. But I mean, again, we do have the local track here. I did
of course, reveal on my Twitter about getting the social media manager job there. So that's obviously
right, buddy. Congrats.
Something thanks. Something I'm very grateful for. A track I've been supporting for many years now, definitely over a decade now. So I would say it's definitely a long time coming to go from being a fan to now having to work there. Because quite literally last year, I recorded 2 vlogs at that track, 2 videos. And it's just funny how I went in there just as some like random fresh out of high school YouTuber, just having some fun with a phone and the camera app. And then all of a sudden the next year I'm sitting in an office talking with some of the owners of the track saying like, okay, what can you do for us this next season? Then I shake their hands and the rest is history. So that's pretty much what we have over here on Prince Edward Island.
So the exciting part, obviously, now I'm curious, I don't know much about Oyster Bed. Is it something that could be a Pintys track ever, or is it a little too small?
It's definitely a little too small, and financially I don't think it would really make sense either. I mean, we've seen tracks in the Pinty series before that don't have like a live pit road. It's just kind of a an off skirt out in the garage area, pit area, whatever you want to call that. But I mean, you could maybe fit 15 cars on the track, but I would say like financially and based on infrastructure and all of that and how many people can park in there, it's probably not possible. But then again, you never know.
Well, one of the reasons I want to get you on here, because you put out some amazing videos last year, and I love seeing that, because for ourselves, we started Stickers and Scuffs, and then the Power Hour. We really started off by watching Can Race and Stephen Ellis, Bryce Turner, the Caitlin Patrick. They were the originators for us, and now seeing you come out and put out some content that's actually it got a lot of views, lots of people watching it, and that's what we need, right? I mean, you're like I said, you're fresh out of high school. You know kind of how to reach that audience. We're old farts. We have no idea what we're doing. So, it's great. So one of the news pieces that I would have talked about in the open is a 2-car team out of Atlantic, Canada, coming out of Newfoundland. Brandon McFarlane and Josh Collins have teamed up. I have to go back, but I know we've had some drivers that have raced a couple of races from out Atlanta. Donald Chisholm would be out at Nova Scotia, would be probably the biggest. But in terms of a 2-car operation, this has got to be the first one. As a racing fan out in Atlantic, Canada, how excited are you for this?
Well, yeah, no, it's definitely great to see. I mean, we have a very passionate fan base over here in Atlantic, Canada. You might think maybe compared to provinces like out in the western coast of Canada, or even like in the central with like Ontario and Quebec, all that, there's definitely a lot of people out there that underestimate what we have over here in Atlantic Canada. I mean, it's kind of not surprising in a way, because with Ontario, it's kind of like America, where there's tracks pretty much all over the place. Well, over here it is a little bit limited. But again, though, like a lot of people just underestimate it here. We have a very, very passionate fan base, especially in like provinces like Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and such. I mean, we saw it at Riverside for plenty of years before that, unfortunately, got away from the schedule. Now we're seeing it with Eastbound over in Newfoundland. We saw how that first race went last year. Absolutely excellent. Like, just looking back at the memories at Riverside, like the attendance was always unreal. Maybe not statistically similar to other tracks on the schedule, like, lackluster numbers, both fans and drivers just showing up, because like a lot of races you would only maybe get like 15 drivers, while other oval races in Ontario you might get like 25 even. For Maritimes standards, for Riverside standards, like the fans absolutely loved it. Every time I went there, it was an absolute treat, and it does suck that we don't get to race there anymore. At least for now, though.
At least for now,
yeah. There's been rumors of that. Obviously, there were for this year, and hopefully maybe next year's schedule. We'll find out if they'll be back for that. But yeah, whenever Riverside lost its spot, pretty much everyone over here lost hope of anything for the future over here. Yeah. But we got lucky, obviously, when Eastbound was given an opportunity. And I mean, it does help that they're a quote unquote NASCAR home track. That definitely helps their case. But it only took one race for everyone over here to breathe a sigh of relief, because it finally gave hope for the future. I mean, yeah, Mother Nature was mean. We could have definitely had a better crowd for that one, but again, the crowd that still showed up for that race was outstanding. Like, even from the broadcast, like, I was amazed by how much they were into it, especially with the people like on the PA and all that. And like, you know, the racing was even very entertaining. It had a lot of storylines, a lot of headlines in that. It definitely gave me a lot to say whenever I did that race recap video or whatever on that.
So you mean you had 2 local drivers last year? You had Sarah Thorne, Newfoundland, and Brandon McFarland, and there's some drivers out in Atlantic Canada for that in Nova Scotia. Do you guys have any drivers that you think would take a run at a Pintys ride? Well, that was a loaded question, but
I mean, there are definitely names I could put out there, but the one name that's always kind of stuck with me, especially for Nova Scotia, is Cole Butcher, because he's been in the late model scene in the United States as well.
Yeah.
He runs in the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, has I believe he does have a couple championships, but again, it's probably just kind of a financial situation there. He'd have to get really lucky if he wanted to get an opportunity with Pintys. But again, with this new series that we're getting over here now in Atlantic Canada, the Super Late Model Series for New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island, that's that I guess you could unprofessionally describe it over here now as like a stock car war, because you know the Maritime Pro Stock Tour is always been there, between Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island. I think it is Brunswick too, but like it just over the years, like it slowly just started to kind of dwindle down. Like there was still interest in it.
Yeah.
But nothing really, there was nothing fresh. Like people seemed to be getting like really bored, and like a lot of like Maritimes drivers and fans were just really begging for something new, something fresh. And that's what we got the Super Late Model Series. The people I've talked to so far, I've talked to the main like head founders and stuff, and they have such enthusiasm for what they're building, which is, I mean, that's the reason why I put my foot through the door and talking to them, and being able to get opportunities to work with them for the inaugural season. Like, again, drivers and fans across the Maritimes have been begging for years for something new, something fresh, something better on a financial level, and also to like something that puts the drivers in the spotlight more frequently. Not saying the Pro Stock Tour doesn't, but this series has been going absolutely hammer on trying to get the drivers in the spotlight, especially for introducing them across all the social media pages and stuff. And like, it's again too with drivers that may even get an opportunity in the Pinty series. It's all new and fresh, so it's going to fit the modern pipeline in terms of finding up and coming talents. So that's definitely going to help. The inaugural season hasn't even started yet, and yet it's all the potential with everything, with the looks and just everything there is, outstanding. It's why I put my foot through the door. So
it's what you need, right? I mean, we've talked about this for the Pinty series. This is supposed to be NASCAR's top division across Canada. And the more people that we can get that are talking about it, I think it filters down. I think that the higher that you get a series like this, you know, in terms of reputation and recognition, then again, you get guys like yourselves who get into these racetracks, who get into racing series that are smaller time. They bring that passion and excitement with them, and it does wonders. And we're hoping to continue that through partnerships all throughout this season with the NASCAR Pinty series. I mean, having a team coming from Atlantic Canada make the trip, like, we know this is not an easy thing with money to do touring series in Canada, but to have strong home tracks like you guys are doing out in Prince Edward Island, like they're doing out at Eastbound Park, like Sunset Speedway is doing, this is all really good stuff. Yeah, sure, there's still a lot of work to be done. I think we can admit, right? Like, there's a lot of people, I think, that even in your video, and you talked multiple times about the Pinty series in multiple videos, people have no idea what it is. You know, there's people that talk about it, like us, we talk about it all the time, but there are some people that have absolutely no idea that there's NASCAR in Canada. One of the things that I think I'd be very curious to see is if they did something like an Atlantic tour. Not suggesting a NASCAR series per se, but I think you're already going out to Eastbound Park. So why not bring back Riverside? We talked about this. We love
both those tracks on the schedule.
It is, but and see, I don't know. You would probably know a little bit more than I about like how easily it would be accessible to get to. But I think ticket value alone, I would do both in during the week. Honestly, like you see it out in Edmonton and Saskatoon, right? Two different provinces, but it's on a couple days worth of touring. Maybe there's something there. I mean, you've said before, like the races at Riverside were phenomenal. Sure, counts went down, but I think the series at that time was also struggling in terms of count. I think we've got like a little bit more of a refresh. I think adding 2 new cars out of Atlantic Canada, that's another race that they could go to because it's a lot closer. So there's a lot of benefit right now. Do you think though that Riverside is, I mean, we know like we've talked to countless drivers in the series, is their favorite track by leaps and bounds. But are those other tracks around there? I think there's Petty International, Oyster Bed, obviously we talked about, maybe a little too small, Scotia Speedway 660. Are these viable options, or are we talking likelihood Riverside because it's already been used?
Well, that last point you made there, the Riverside probably would make the most sense because we've already had a history there, and if the drivers say that's their favorite track, then that would make the most sense, especially financially and stuff, instead of trying to find all these other new unproven tracks, because that might destroy finances in a way. But like, yeah, I mean, tracks like Petty and Scotia Speedway, I think they definitely could be viable. With the Pinty series. It's just, it all has to come down to a bunch of different factors between finances and infrastructure and just the interest as well between drivers and management and the fans as well. But I'm sure like if a track like Petty or Scotia Speedway was even given an opportunity, like there's also too, this is like completely out of this world probably, but there is a road course in southern Nova Scotia. I think it's Atlantic Motorsports Park. I think that might be the name, but like it's mainly meant for like, I think, testing and such. It has nowhere close to the infrastructure of getting some like series to go out there. But the way I think about it is like, I've watched videos of cars like taking laps around the track. I've looked at photos of the track. If it could be given some serious renovations, I think it'd be an absolutely wild fever dream to try and get a Pinty Series road course race over in Atlantic Canada. There's probably no way, but I'm just saying, if you put walls around the thing, you extended the track just a little bit out, you try to put on maybe like a bigger pit road, a better infrastructure, stands and all that, it'd be a hell of a plan. But I'm just saying,
this is the excitement that talking about this brings, because there's always we could do this, or we could do that. I mean, we've seen races on airports multiple times. I mean, ICAR and Edmonton Indy was on an airport circuit for quite a while. So I think there's definitely options out there, and to have kind of voices. And this is what's been great, is that we've got opportunities to have you on the show, and I can't wait. I love your content, buddy. I thank you so much for doing all that you do for this series, man. It's so appreciated, and we absolutely love seeing more and more people come in and provide content, and appreciate it, buddy. And we'll be catching Riegser all season long, man. And congratulations. We'll definitely be chatting about Pinty series from time to time here on the show. And it was a lot of fun.
Like, I appreciate you giving me the time to come on here and shout out Atlantic Canada, and also shout out my channel as well. I can't wait to see what happens next, and hopefully I'll be back on sometime in the near future.
Sounds great, buddy. What a great guy. Definitely got a future in this podcasting deal. Got a great channel. Make sure you guys get in there and subscribe, follow along.